going on, family? So, today I want to discuss recognizing chess moves because it's a game consistently being played. And one of the things about chess is that chess itself is a war simulation. Chess isn't just a game to be played, to pass time. It's all about strategy. So, recognizing chess moves basically comes down to recognizing strategy when strategy is at play. And one of the things that I want to discuss specifically with this Biden-Harris administration, and some of the things that I've seen as far as executive orders that have been passed recently, was this memorandum signed by Biden to combat the bias incidents towards Asian Americans. And that in itself was a chess move. What's up? Who that? Let them hang bang. How you doing? But so with this memorandum that was signed, it would give you the impression that Asian Americans have a high incident of bias that they deal with on a regular basis. Basically, bias being discrimination, being that those words are synonyms, or in this case, they're used interchangeably. So, after that memorandum was signed, there was two suspicious incidents that occurred in California that I saw in the news. One being where I believe an 84-year-old Taiwanese man was pushed down by a black male, and he subsequently died. How you doing, Michelle? But he subsequently died. And then there was, I believe, a 91-year-old Chinese American attacked in Chinatown near San Francisco. And so when those two incidents occurred, the attacker in both incidents was a black male in both incidences. And as of this morning, February 8th, it's being reported that the suspect has been in custody since February 1st. The suspect is a 28-year-old male named Yahya, spelled Yahya, and check this out, y'all. His last name is Muslim. His name is Yahya Muslim. If that name does not set off red flags for you, then I'm gonna have y'all to really, really look at yourself and look what's going on, because this is a continued cycle that occurs here. It kind of reminds me, it puts me in the spirit of Al Qaeda. Remember when Al Qaeda was a terrorist organization, or maybe they're still considered a terrorist organization, but initially, before Al Qaeda was a terrorist organization, it was the name of a CIA database. Now, what's the likelihood of a Muslim terrorist organization having access to the name of the CIA database, the Central Intelligence Agency's database? I'm just saying. Sounds very fishy to me. Very, very fishy. Just like this man's last name being Muslim. So, in addition to that, so there's other chess moves being played, and to get to them later. But first, with this chess move here, who would be the opponent? You might want to ask yourself. Well, they're clearly showing us who the opponent is in this game of chess here, with the Asians and the American government backing these Asians. And they showed us in the video, it's a black male. It's a black male who was doing these attacks. It was a black male who apparently is the enemy and apparently is the opponent. Just like I keep hearing that there's a high level of xenophobia towards Asians in the black community. I'm keep being told this. I don't see it. In fact, I see too many black males trying to get them some strange booty from Asians, if anything. Not some form of hatred or dislike towards that community. I don't know if you all remember when it was discussed that there was a house fire here in Denver where some Senegalese people lost their lives. I believe it was like 5 people lost their lives in a house fire. And they didn't know what exactly occurred. Well, later on, it was reported that it was 3 teenagers arrested behind that house fire. Well, guess what? I'm sure we all know the Senegalese, they're Africans. Yeah, they're black. But the people who burnt that house down, they were Asians. It was 3 Asian teenagers that set that house fire. While we talk, but that's not being portrayed in the news like that. It's not being portrayed of biased incidents against Africans or people of African descent, against black Americans, period. And it turns out that it has something to do with a drug. Some people had bought some drugs and ripped off this Asian gang of some girl. This, I guess she's Korean or something, but she had her brother and some other teenagers selling drugs for her. They got ripped off. They went back to set the house on fire of the people that ripped them off and set the wrong house on fire. The Senegalese people were collateral damage. They had nothing to do with the drug deal at all. And the teenagers went back to the wrong house and killed the wrong people. So, yeah, that's just something to consider when we're talking about bias incidents towards Asians, because it doesn't go both ways. You know, the laws are only made to protect certain people, and at the same time, they're made to attack other people, those people being us. Secondly, there's been multiple legislations passed, but there was legislation passed protecting the LGBT community, and against bias incidences. Once again, it's been reported that black males have a high disdain towards the LGBT community. So once again, it's being portrayed, or it's being indirectly suggested that the black community, namely black males, are an enemy to the LGBT community, and therefore there needs to be legislation made to, I would guess, incarcerate or citate and criminalize the black community or black males who are disproportionately attacking the LGBT community, albeit verbally or physically, but there needed to be legislation put in place to protect that community, or at least that's what they felt, which we know is a bunch of bogusness. Once again, it's all to distract away from the main issues of which community is the real victim, not to adapt a victim mentality, but to understand a victimizer when you're interacting with a victimizer. And we never want to accept or adopt a victim mentality, but we do want to see that we are dealing with a victimizer. Because if you do not know that you're dealing with a victimizer, you will be repeatedly victimized. And that's basically been the history of us here interacting with these people. But going back to the LGBT community, generally, if you look at the statistics, the number one attackers of members of the LGBT community are members of the LGBT community. Just like the number one attackers of white people and Asian people are white people and Asian people, respectively. Just like they talk about black on black crime, the number one attackers of black people, you would think would be black people, because you kill where you live and you kill those who you are around, and we are generally around our own more than we're around anyone else. So there shouldn't be a such thing as black on black crime. That's just called crime. All crime, whether it be a black person killing another black person or a white person killing a white person, that's just generally how it happens. But there is a higher propensity of these other groups attacking us and killing us, and there not being any legislation put in place to protect us. Okay, so there's a couple situations that I had, in my own personal life dealing with these two communities, with the Asian community and dealing with the LGBT community. First, with the Asian community, I remember going to a house party one time. The guy that a couple friends of mine, they were cool with this dude. He was in the Air Force or something at one time, but he had, got discharged from the Air Force. And he was friends with this Asian girl, and she was having a birthday party at her house for herself or for her brother, something. But she invited this guy that we knew. He's a black guy. We're all black guys going to this party. It's like 5 or 6 of us. We go to this party, and we're the only black guys there, except for probably about 2 other half black, half Asian guys. And when you hear what happened, you'll hear what happened. But they obviously did not identify with being black at all, because they felt that they were more Asian, like on some Tiger Wood type stuff. They felt like they were more Asian than black. So as the night's going on, buddy of mine, he's drinking. We're all drinking, but this particular buddy of mine, he don't know how to keep his mouth shut when he drinks. When he drinks, he goes to talking crazy to people, and he's talking crazy to these Asians, calling them all kinds of goops and all this old kind of stuff. And man, when he said that, he told us, like, I'll knock you out, gook, or something like that. We was out in front of the front door. When he said that, it was like wildfire spread through the entire audience. Just like, they're like, what did he say? What did he say? So everybody, it was like a hornet's nest. They got angry real quick. I'm talking like it turned to a ninja movie. It turned to a kung fu flick on some Kung Fu Saturday type shit. I'm not playing. I am not playing, y'all. So you started hearing all this old kind of stuff. I'm not playing. I would have been laughing if I wasn't right there and motherfuckers didn't start pulling out nunchucks and doing backflips and kicks and all kind of kung fu. It was crazy. So my homeboy got hit upside the head with a bottle. We swinging on these dudes trying to protect my homeboy, but it's like, I'm not even trying to exaggerate. It was probably easily 80 Asians, and it was like 5 or 6 of us. So we had to leave because it was finna get crazy. We was gonna get stabbed, shot, something. So we started heading our way to the car, trying to get up out of there, but we couldn't because we fighting every step we take. We trying to get to the car, get to the street, get out the yard. They throwing bottles. They bust the windows out of the cars that we was in. They doing all kind of stuff. They jumped in their cars. They was trying to run us over in the street while we was trying to go to the car, while we fighting off a bunch of them to keep them off my homeboy, because once he got hit upside the head with that bottle, he was knocked out. So we had to carry him, and it actually got so crazy with us fighting and trying to keep them from getting to him was that we had to push him up under an SUV. We had to push him up under an SUV to keep him from getting run over or to keep him from getting stabbed because he was unconscious and couldn't defend himself. It was crazy. But talking about incidences of bias dealing with Asians right there. That's just one of the little things that happened in my life. And there's been other stuff, but that's just one scenario that I remember very vividly. Another, going back to this LBGT thing, would have to do with an employer that I had. where I worked with the state of Colorado for like 16 years, and it ultimately came to a head because of a homosexual. I'm trying not to drop the F word. I know we can't say that now. I don't know what YouTube would do to Keith's channel. I'm trying to respect this man's channel and not get no strike or nothing. But y'all know what I'm talking about. So this was a flagrant homosexual. I mean, flamboyant, flagrant, all that. And he was my manager and supervisor, whatever. But he had as soon as I got on this dude's team, because I had been on another team. My previous supervisor had retired or left the state or something, but basically they weren't working there no more. So I got on this dude's team, this little Hispanic dude. So that kind of like combines two of these things, because I guess Hispanics been, Asians by default genetically. But he would call me into his office, and he would always want to, like talk with the door closed. And I'm like, first of all, we ain't even talking about work. We talking about nonsense, and I don't even want to be up in here with you alone, because I don't feel comfortable being around no gay dude with no door closed. And lo and behold, he would start talking crazy. He flirting and all this old kind of stuff. And I told him, Joe, I don't work like that, homie. I don't do like that. I got 4 children. If I was gonna be on that kind of nonsense, I wouldn't have 4 children. I wouldn't have child support and all this old kind of shit. I'll be running around here a rich ass gay dude with AIDS or something. You know what I'm saying? So, he would come at me all crazy, flirting and flirting. So, like the second time, like the second day that he did this, I literally had to tell him. Because after the first day, I told him I don't work like that. He like, well, okay. And really what kicked it all off was I had scored first on the test. They had these promotion exams. And I had took the exam and got first on it. So therefore, I was supposed to get promoted. And I didn't get my promotion. Instead, they promoted a whole group of individuals, and none of them was black, and none of them was me. You know what I'm saying? Because actually, I was the only black individual in the state in my position at that time. And well, the only black male. There was some black females. And so I'm inquiring from my supervisor what's going on with my promotion. So he tells me, and this is what kicked it all off. Well, if you want to get your promotion, man, you need to start hanging out. What I need to hang out with you for? That's what I asked him. I'm like, what I need to hang out with you for when this is pertaining to employment? This is pertaining to the job, not nothing personal. He's like, well, personally, I need to get to know you, and personally, we need to hang out, and you might like it hanging out with me. And then so that's when the flirting I'm like, oh no, homeboy, I don't get down like that. You know what I'm saying? Well, after he did it the second day, and I told him, hey man, I don't want to have to break your motherfucking neck because you coming at me on some old sideways shit. Like I try to be professional. I try to be courtesy and all that, but truthfully, when it comes down to it, it is what it is. I'm a man, and I don't get down with that nonsense. So when I told him, don't make me break your neck, homeboy, he was like, okay. So a couple of days went by. Then he started trying to, like, nitpick everything I do. The work's not right. Something's wrong with my work. Like, he trying to justify, like, on all of a sudden I'm not meeting the expectations of the employer and all this other kind of stuff, right? So I go to his supervisor, because I actually had a recording the second time when I told him I was going to break his neck. Because when he called me up in there and told me to close the door, I already knew he was going to come with some bullshit. So I had my phone recording when I went up in there. So I played the recording for his supervisor, like, hey, I told this dude I was going to fuck him up because he coming at me with this flirting. You hear right here him talking to me unprofessionally. His supervisor say he's going to take care of it, right? Don't worry about it. Well, them taking care of it was them removing me from that building altogether, and then telling everybody that I was a threat to the workforce or to the work environment, like I'm a danger. You know what I'm saying? I'm on some workplace violence type stuff, right? So long story short, I ended up getting up out of there and terminated because I'm a threat. And the thing is, the director, even though I had all of these facts, I had documentation upon documentation. But the thing is when you dealing with these beasts, there is no you got right words or the right documentation. I spent over $25,000 on an attorney, you know what I'm saying, trying to fight that. But it didn't work because guess what? Guess who was the legal representation for the state of Colorado? It was the Attorney General's office. And guess who assigns work for attorneys within the state of Colorado? The Attorney General's office. Yeah. Well, they can. I mean, there's private firms, but the Attorney General's office can assign work. Yeah, they cover for each other. All of this shit. There is no way to try to do right and actually succeed when you're dealing with these beasts, because you're gonna consistently come up short. You don't have enough money to legally fight them. You don't have enough attorneys that are black or black centered with enough heart to even stand up for our causes. So that's a losing fight even before you start it. The fight's already lost. So yeah, it's a catch-22 exactly. And which led at the same time, it's everything. You can look at everything like the glass is half empty or the glass is half full. And in that situation, what it actually allowed for me to do